Ever walk through a park or even just like see one of those little patches of grass by the curb
Yeah.
and think about what's going on underneath?
Yeah.
We're diving into the world of soil today, and to help us dig through all the layers, we're using these awesome guides from RoleCatcher.
And we do mean dig through it
Right.
because people think soil science is just, getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, just playing in the dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
But these guides from RoleCatcher really show that soil scientists are like the guardians of the earth or something.
Yeah, it's like they're investigating and protecting this planet.
Yeah, and it's not just about, digging holes.
No, not at all.
What do soil scientists actually do?
So they have to analyze the makeup of the soil, do research, and then they use all that to give advice.
On what, though?
Well, it could be anything from agriculture to like conservation efforts. Like one day you might be helping a farmer figure out how to grow better crops, and the next you're on a whole project stopping erosion.
Wow. So it really runs the gamut.
It really does.
I love that it's a mix of like field work and lab work.
It's a science.
It is.
But you're outside too.
Yeah, you get to be in nature and then bring stuff back to lab with you.
Exactly. And these RoleCatcher guides talk about that a lot.
They do.
They even talk about the not so fun stuff like the weather or, maybe having to work with some iffy materials.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always going to be sunshine and roses, right?
Right. It's real work, but if you're into the environment, it's probably worth it.
Yeah, I can see that. So let's say someone is listening to this and thinking, okay, I want to get my hands dirty. What do they actually have to do to become a soil scientist?
Well, most go the traditional route and get a degree in soil science.
Makes sense.
But RoleCatcher also mentions other ways in...
Like what?
Like environmental science, agriculture, even forestry, believe it or not.
Really?
It just shows how connected all these fields really are.
That's true. I mean, it's all related, right?
Exactly. Like, you need to know how everything interacts with the soil to understand how to keep it healthy.
It's like a whole system.
Exactly. A web of life.
That you have to understand.
Yeah. It's more than just memorizing facts from a textbook.
Exactly.
You got to see the bigger picture.
Yeah. And how do you even learn to do that besides, actually getting out there?
RoleCatcher talks a lot about practical experience. Like internships, volunteering, that kind of thing.
Right, actually getting your hands dirty.
Exactly.
It's so important.
And once you have that experience, you can start thinking about specializing because soil science is a pretty broad field.
It is.
RoleCatcher actually goes into detail about all the different things you can focus on.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, you could work on restoring land that's been damaged or focus on sustainable agriculture.
So like helping farmers grow food in a way that doesn't hurt the planet?
Yeah, exactly. Or you could even work with like the tiny organisms that live in the soil.
There's a whole world down there, isn't there?
There is, and each part of it is important.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you can really kind of find your niche within soil science.
You can, and RoleCatcher lays out the career path pretty clearly.
They do.
Yeah, from entry level all the way up to senior scientist.
So there's a whole ladder you can climb.
There is.
Tell me more.
Okay, so when you're just starting out, you're doing a lot of the hands-on stuff like soil surveys, collecting data, helping out the more experienced scientists.
So it's like an apprenticeship?
It is. You're learning the ropes.
Got to start somewhere.
Then once you've got some experience under your belt, you move up to like a junior scientist role.
And what do you do then?
That's where you get to be more independent. You might create soil management plans or lead experiments in the field.
Oh, wow. So you're in charge of stuff.
You are. And then if you keep moving up the ladder, you get to the senior scientist level.
What's that like?
That's like the top of the mountain.
Okay.
You're leading big projects. You're mentoring the junior scientists.
So you've gone from student to teacher.
Exactly. And you might even get to influence policy decisions.
Wow, that's amazing, going from looking at tiny things in a lab to like shaping national policies.
It's a journey.
It really is.
Yeah.
But I imagine you have to be super knowledgeable to get there.
You do. RoleCatcher stresses how important it is to never stop learning.
Yeah, because this field is always changing, right?
Always. There are new discoveries, new technologies all the time.
So it's not enough to just graduate and be done.
Nope. You got to stay up to date.
How do you even do that?
Well, there are conferences you can go to, journals you can read.
Right.
And RoleCatcher actually mentions some certifications that can really boost your career.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, there's the Certified Professional Soil Scientist.
What is that?
It's basically a way to show everyone that you really know your stuff.
So if you have that certification, people will be like, okay, this person's legit.
Exactly.
I like it.
And there's another one that's becoming more and more popular. It's called the Certified Crop Advisor Certification.
What's that one all about?
That one's for people who are interested in sustainable agriculture.
Oh.
So if you want to help farmers grow food without harming the environment, that's the certification for you.
So it's like a stamp of approval.
It is. It shows that you're an expert in that area.
Very cool. Okay, but let's get back to the person who's listening to all this, thinking about their own future.
Okay.
What would you say to someone who's trying to decide if a career in soil science is right for them?
That's a big decision. But RoleCatcher can help there too.
How so?
Well, they lay out all the pros and cons.
What are some of the pros?
Job stability is a big one. We're always going to need food, right? And a healthy environment.
That's true.
And soil scientists are essential for both of those things.
I never thought about it like that, but it makes sense.
And with climate change becoming a bigger and bigger issue, the demand for soil scientists is only going to go up.
So it's a good career to get into if you're worried about, like, finding a job.
It is, and you get to make a real difference in the world.
Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of people.
It is.
But what about the cons? I mean, RoleCatcher mentioned that job growth might be limited.
Yeah, that's true, but it's not that simple.
How so?
Overall growth might not be huge, but there's a ton of demand for specific skills.
Like what?
Like carbon sequestration, for example.
What's that?
It's basically a way of trapping carbon in the soil to help fight climate change.
Oh, wow.
And we need experts in that area more than ever.
So it's not just about being a soil scientist. It's about being the right kind of soil scientist.
Exactly. The more specialized you are, the better your chances are.
It's like finding your superpower right. But even if you know what you're good at, getting into a whole new field can be scary.
Oh, totally.
It's like, what do I even put on my resume? What if they ask me something tricky in the interview? Luckily, RoleCatcher has some really cool tools for that, like that CV builder and the interview prep stuff.
Those are super helpful.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Especially that interview prep, because I always get so nervous.
Me too.
But RoleCatcher has all these practice questions and tips. It's like they're reading the interviewer's minds.
And the AI stuff for your resume is great. It like tailors it to the jobs you want.
Exactly. And speaking of putting yourself out there, RoleCatcher also talks about networking.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Like sometimes it really is about who you know.
Definitely.
So going to conferences, meeting people on LinkedIn, even just like reaching out for advice.
It all helps.
Yeah, you got to build those connections. Okay, so last question before we wrap up.
Yep.
We've talked a lot about soil science as it is now, but what about the future?
Without it.
With climate change and all the other challenges facing the planet, what do you think the future holds for soil scientists?
That's a big one.
It is.
Well, I think soil is going to become even more important than it already is.
How so?
Think about it. We need healthy soil to grow food, to protect our water, to fight climate change.
So soil scientists are going to be the ones figuring all that out.
Exactly. We need people who understand how soil works and how to keep it healthy.
It's almost like we've been taking soil for granted all this time.
I think we have.
And now we're realizing just how crucial it really is.
It's the foundation for everything.
Literally.
Exactly.
Wow, this has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
I've learned so much about soil science.
Yeah, too.
So if you're listening to this and you're even a little bit curious about this field, definitely check out RoleCatcher.
I second that.
Their guides and tools are seriously amazing.
They are.
You might just discover your dream career.
It could happen.
That's it for this deep dive into the world of soil science.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And remember, the ground beneath our feet is full of surprises.
And so are you.